Did you hear that P. Diddy fled the country? You lying. Did he? Did he? Yeah, I heard that Diddy Homes was raided today. They raided his home, I heard that, but I don't. Nah, it's true. It's true? He fled the country, did he? That nigga P. Diddy ran his ass on a private goddamn jet and got the fuck up out of here. Damn, did he? No, he didn't flee. I think Diddy went to the Caribbean. For real? His sons got arrested for trafficking. For real? Yeah, Diddy gone. Are y'all bullshitting? How can he be arrested in Miami and fled the country at the same time, y'all? Can someone tell me what's going on? I don't know, should we be finding new Carmen San Diego or Diddy? Where in the world is P. Diddy nasty ass? He's in the Caribbean looking for them goddamn ghosts. Everybody know he a nasty asshole. He is fleeing the country and we cannot find him. Where in the world is P. Diddy San Diego? Like you said, more money, more problems, y'all. More money, private jet problems. All I see is his home raided. Oh, this one says Sean Diddy Combs' private jet landed in the Caribbean while homes raided by the feds. So it's both. He got raided and he fled, I guess. I'm going to say it like this. Good thing Cassie got her money before all this shit popped the fuck off. P. Diddy settled that lawsuit with Cassie in like 2 days. Is that their whole name? No offense. She was the only one that got that check. It was like, got his ass. All this is happening because of her. She did it, and then everybody else came out and said what happened. And then that video of Orlando Brown talking about it before anyone else, that went viral. Orlando Brown said years ago that P. Diddy was doing sex cult parties and all types of foolishness. All that together is the reason why all this happening right now. Right, Strawberry? If she didn't do that, this wouldn't be coming out. So if he is going to jail and if the victims get, if all this stuff leads to P. Diddy going to jail and the victims get some type of, I don't know where I'm looking for, some type of healing from it, it's because that young lady Cassie. And she got that money and said, all right, I'm out. You ain't heard nothing else from my ass, right? They ain't said they found anything in the raid, Rhino, because if the man had sense, when all this stuff was coming out, he had lawyers and all that. They probably told him, because you know what happened to R. Kelly. They raided R. Kelly and found all that foolishness. So I'm pretty sure P. Diddy lawyers told his ass, got out of town. I'm pretty sure he knew they was coming. Erased everything of evidence. Go out of town. Lay low for a few days. I bet you they probably ain't much found nothing. I mean, I hope they did if it happens. But I bet you they scrubbed that bitch clean. You can't truly erase anything. The FBI have their ways. We'll see. I hope so. That makes him look really bad. It does, but it also makes him smart. If he got the evidence to fuck out of there. He didn't flee, like I said, Jesus Christ. They said he was in the Caribbean. The Caribbean. I love you very much, Marco. It's crazy how much Hollywood be getting exposed this year. Cat Williams started it. He said all lies will be exposed. If you have nothing to hide, why would you run? Just in case they find some shit. The Diddler. That sounds like a Batman villain. That sounds like the Riddler's black brother. The Diddler. P. Diddler. So I'm going to say something that's going to take us on a whole completely different tangent. So this is what my tangent I have to say. So we exposing all these people, right? We expose R. Kelly. We expose P. Diddy. We exposing all these big Hollywood elites, right? For all this illegal things they doing. We expose Dan Schneider. We exposing all these people, right? So why we ain't exposed Eddie Murphy yet? Why no one talking about Eddie Murphy? What he do is alleged that he had sexual relations with transgenders for years, right? He was caught with a transgender prostitute in his car, almost blew up his career in a bad way, messed up his career. The transgender was going to do a news story about their interaction with Eddie. Then mysteriously, the transgender prostitute ends up dead. The police say she got locked out of her own apartment, tried to get into her own apartment, and tried to use her robe as a lasso or something to swing into her apartment like Tarzan through a window, slipped, and fell 5 flights to her death. And if y'all think I'm bullshit, this is Eddie. That's not Eddie, that's a white man. This is when he got picked up by the police.
Actor and comedian Eddie Murphy has a run-in with the law this morning. In this case, it involves a transvestite prostitute. Reporter Juan Fernandez is live in Hollywood, California with the latest for us tonight. Juan?
Well, Al, when Eddie Murphy picked up this Hollywood hooker, he had no idea.
Hollywood hooker.
Right behind him were a pair of vice cops. On the silver screen, there's no doubt about it. Comedian Eddie Murphy has quite an appetite for the ladies. And early this morning, that hunger thrust him into the spotlight when police say he picked up a transvestite prostitute on an infamous stretch of Santa Monica Boulevard.
Deputies conducted a traffic stop of the car a few blocks away, at which time they learned that the driver was actor Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was let go. Police say up to that point, nothing illegal had happened. But 20-year-old Addison Ciuli was cuffed and hauled away. A warrant was already out for his arrest.
And on May 29th, Judge Barry Taylor issued a warrant in the amount of $15,000 for his arrest and revoked his probation.
They're talking about a transgender prostitute. You know, back in the day, they didn't know about pronouns. So that's why they keep saying he. They're talking about the young transgender lady.
He was brought to court today on that warrant.
Eddie Murphy says he did nothing wrong. He says he saw this person on the sidewalk looking rather restless. And all he did, he says, was offer them a ride home.
Probation would be revoked and reinstated with the...
Today in court, Ciuli stayed in a holding cell while her defense attorney faced the judge. Judge Tricia Bigelow handing down her ruling, ordering Ciuli to serve 90 days in the county jail. Well, here in Hollywood, when someone is arrested for prostitution, they must sign this prostitution sentencing sheet. In it, there are certain conditions you must follow, such as a mandatory HIV test, an AIDS education class, and a prostitution counseling workshop. Ciuli was arrested and the warrant issued because he did not follow these guidelines. So far tonight, no further comment from Eddie Murphy. Reporting live in Hollywood, I'm Juan Fernandez. Back to you.
That's the first report. Now look at Eddie.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, you know. And
you heard him?
That's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that, when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Eddie wanted something to read. His wife and children were out of town. He wanted something to read. While he looking in the air, he allowed exactly what he said at the beginning. I'm not gay. And he looking away. He didn't look at the man when he said it. He looked away and then laughed. I'm not gay. Look. Look at the beginning. Look.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, you know. And
he laughing.
What's weird about this, to have your sexuality question.
Yeah, and he looking away. Look at him. I'm not gay.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, you know, and that's what's weird about this.
Now he looking away, look.
Sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that, when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy tells E.T. that his wife and children were out of town, says he wanted something to read and went to a late-night newsstand. He stopped here and picked up the suspected transsexual at 4:45 in the morning. He says he thought he was aiding a distraught woman.
Looks like a pretty Hawaiian girl in the corner crying. It looks like she was crying. goes, oh, Eddie Murphy. She noticed him at the light. She recognized Eddie Murphy. Oh my God.
You heard the lie he just said? It's 4 o'clock in the morning in his car at night. He drive to a light and she noticed him and said, oh, hey Eddie, how you notice somebody at 4 o'clock at goddamn night in a car at a stoplight? How you notice that's Eddie Murphy? It could have been an African nigga with a beard. You don't know who the fuck that nigga is. That young transgender woman had the most amazing eyesight of all time to notice Eddie Murphy at 4 o'clock in the night at a stoplight. She got some good ass vision, boy.
Oh my God. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you out here working the streets so late? She goes, oh, I'm on my way home. Can you give me a ride home?
Police tailed them for 2 miles before pulling him over. Police say he is guilty of no misconduct, but there was a warrant out for the alleged prostitute. A judge has ordered that man, 20-year-old Addison Ciuli, to serve 90 days in jail. Murphy says he has often stopped to try to help prostitutes, but here is what he said in an impromptu news conference on the set of his new movie.
He always tries to help prostitutes, y'all. Now, it's been alleged that Eddie used to pick up multiple transgender prostitutes in the New Jersey area. It's been alleged for years.
Being a good Samaritan blew up in my face, basically.
You heard him, being a good Samaritan blew up in his face.
I'm never giving anyone a lift again.
Everybody laugh. You see that? Look at that. That's the face of a man that likes booty pipe. But anyways, everyone laughed. I'm never helping anyone again. Ha! Everybody laughed and they're cheering for him now. That's how much power Eddie had. Everybody cheering for him. That's how much power Eddie had back in the day. So I'm going to ask you guys in chat, who believes that story he told? Listen to Just Jay, you're reaching. What am I reaching, Just Jay? So you're telling me that at 4 o'clock in the morning, Eddie Murphy wanted to read something. So he went out at 4 o'clock at night. He's Eddie Murphy, might I add, with millions. He can call anyone to go pick him up something to read, you know. But him himself, and he drove to an area that has transgendered prostitution. All by mistake. He was at a red light, and one of the transgendered prostitutes seen him and said, and she was crying, and she said, oh, Eddie Murphy. She got in his car. He asked her, why you crying? Why you there? What's going on? She said she wants a ride home, and all Eddie was doing was being a good Samaritan, giving her a ride home. You believe that, Just Jay? He lied like a mother effer. He wanted some freak meat. Sounds like something you would do. Something like that did happen to me before. I was driving at night down a prostitution area. A prostitute got in my car, and I noticed it was a transgendered, but it wasn't 4 o'clock at night. Also, his wife and kids was out of town. I give homeless people rides all the time. Calvin, I don't give only transgendered prostitutes rides. But why would Eddie get a random trans on the street that he can rat him out? Well, it was been alleged for years that Eddie was doing that. He even allegedly paid off. Because when this story came out, the transgender prostitute told the story, and then Eddie had a lot of transgender people coming out saying that Eddie messed with them too. And there were several that Eddie paid off, allegedly, through his lawyer. The highest was $15,000. Why is it believable for you and not for him? Because it happened to me one time. It happened with Eddie multiple times because it's been alleged in multiple stories that was later paid off by Eddie's attorney, allegedly. Multiple other transgendered prostitutes coming out saying that Eddie slept with them too, or tried to sleep with them. And the stories, half of them recanted their stories after receiving a paycheck from Eddie Murphy's attorney. That's BS. He could have been robbed or killed for his money. Why are you giving a ride? He was trying to get, I know. We love you, Sigs, but if you hate gay people, you should have your ass beat. But I don't hate gay people. When did I ever say that? I don't hate gay people. I love them because they love me. This is someone named Sloan. They do YouTube videos exposing Hollywood's elites.
Actor and comedian Eddie Murphy has a run-in with the law this morning. In this case, it involves a
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and I'm not, and that's what's weird about this, to have your sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
Eddie Murphy has a criminal past. For decades, he has denied his wrongdoings, but the court documents don't lie. And at one point, his transgender hookup exposed him and his behavior to the world. When he couldn't silence this hookup, he allegedly took her life away so that he could protect himself. So let's get into it. Eddie Murphy is a big-time actor, and he's been in the industry for a long time. But he's also had his fair share of controversies. And today, I want to talk to you guys about Addison Scioli. So Addison was a trans woman who supposedly had gotten with Eddie Murphy, and he allegedly had her life taken from her. Police were actually in Santa Monica looking for women who, work in this kind of field where they hook up with people for money. I don't know what type of wording I could use on YouTube, but anyways, they saw one of these people get into a car, and that car happened to be with Eddie Murphy. And they followed the car for a bit until they pulled it over, and they questioned him for what was going on. After realizing he's a big-time actor and nothing illegal had happened yet, they let him go.
Actor and comedian Eddie Murphy has a run-in with the law this morning. In this case, it involves a trans...
On the silver screen, there's no doubt about it. Comedian Eddie Murphy has quite an appetite for the ladies. And early this morning, that hunger thrust him into the spotlight when police say he picked up a trans on an infamous stretch of Santa Monica Boulevard.
So honestly, this wouldn't have been big news if it wasn't Eddie Murphy. But what's unfortunate is that Eddie was able to use his celebrity status to get away, while Addison was actually cuffed and, arrested for what they had been getting into.
Deputies conducted a traffic stop of the car a few blocks away, at which time they learned that the driver was actor Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy was let go. Police say up to that point, nothing illegal had happened. But 20-year-old Addison Scioli was cuffed and hauled away. A warrant was already out for his arrest.
So Addison wasn't arrested in that moment because of what they were doing with Eddie, but because they had a criminal warrant out for doing that in another instance. Eddie was able to convince the cops that he was just being a good Samaritan and offering Addison a ride. Even though Eddie was able to get away, Addison was locked up, he didn't get away without press coverage, and it wasn't great. Actually, the media got involved and paid for Addison's $15,000 bond in exchange for details on her arrest, probably trying to learn what Eddie wanted to do with her. It's hard being an LGBT person nowadays, especially being trans, so imagine back then how difficult it was and how Eddie really didn't want to be associated with this. But I think the public knew better because he's picking Addison up at 4:30 in the morning, and it doesn't seem like it was probably his first time doing this.
I love my wife, and I'm not gay, and
Look,
I'm not,
he laughing.
and that's what's weird about this, to have your
not gay,
sexuality question and your moral fiber question and all that when all I was doing was trying to be nice to somebody.
So the story could have ended there, but it didn't, because the National Enquirer paid for Addison to get out in exchange for details on the story. And I'm sure Eddie was upset when this article came out. Eddie Murphy's secret intimate life, his trans hooker tells all. She claims that Eddie had asked her to be in some lingerie, and he was not happy about this article. He ended up suing the National Enquirer and the Globe for $5 million each for libel, slander, and invasion of privacy. Soon after he filed, he settled the suit with the Globe and then dropped the one against the National Enquirer and had to pay the tabloid's legal fees. And maybe he thought suing them would free his name, but it really didn't. The press loved to bully him on this. But Addison said this situation isn't fair. Quote, "I went to jail while Eddie Murphy walked away scot-free." Eddie Murphy, who's had accusations of being gay swirling around him for years, denied that he intended to solicit a sex worker and did not
You're right, Mocas, especially in the black community. You can't be Fresno. Eddie was scared. Exactly. So I'm gonna make this make sense to y'all in a moment. Watch.
Knowing Addison was trans. But People magazine questioned Eddie's story because when he stopped, he was past where Addison lives and far away from where he lives.
Exactly,
so there's no
J-Bo.
other apparent reason why he would be in that area at that time unless he was looking for these kind of workers.
Shalimar said that she was looking for Johns when Eddie Murphy pulled up. She said that once she got in his vehicle, Eddie Murphy placed 2 $100 bills on her leg and asked her if she liked to wear lingerie. She said yes. Then Eddie asked her, "Can I see you in lingerie?" I told him, "Whenever I have the time." He said, "I'll make the time." Shalimar also said that they discussed what kind of sex she liked, to which she replied, "Everything."
So it's really Eddie's word against her word, and he was very convincing, doing these news interviews claiming that he saw this innocent girl on the side of the road and he just felt so inclined to help.
Looks like a pretty Hawaiian girl in the corner crying. It looks like she was crying. She goes, "Oh, Eddie Murphy." She noticed him at the light. She recognized Eddie Murphy. Oh my God.
So she's crying, y'all. And while she's crying, she noticed Eddie Murphy at a red light, y'all. So if you crying, I'm crying, well, you notice Eddie Murphy at 4 o'clock at night, might I add, at night. And she stops crying. "Oh, Eddie, hey, Eddie, look up." Come on now.
So I go, "What are you doing? Why are you out here working the streets so late?" She goes, "Oh, I'm on my way home. Can you give me a ride home?"
So there he goes, trying to act like a hero in this situation. When he saw Addison, he supposedly told her, you shouldn't be doing that. He allegedly thought that Addison was a girl, and supposedly that's not even the issue. He was just looking for someone in general, I guess, to hang out with. It was a person I assumed was a biological girl at the corner. He also added, "What people don't know is for years and years at night, I'd get in my car and drive all over Manhattan giving money away to, I guess, SEX workers or homeless people." Interesting. I just feel like I don't necessarily believe that he's just driving around to talk to random people because he's lonely.
He looked restless on the
He was
sidewalk.
just being a good Samaritan at 4:30 in the morning in a neighborhood where hang out. Okay.
We have other news.
Eddie was quoted saying, "I would stop and talk to homeless people. I'd go to the corners where there were SEX workers and give them $5,000 or $10,000 to go home and get off the street. When I'm doing something charitable, I'm not doing it for publicity. It's out the goodness of my heart."
A good Samaritan blew up in my face, basically, and I'm never giving anyone a lift again.
Everybody laughing.
And maybe that would have been great if it was true, but then dozens of trans women came forward claiming that wasn't true, that he was actually soliciting work from them and he should just own up to this because he's not going around just giving $5,000, $10,000 away. He's paying $200 for an act, a service. At this point, he was in a comeback from his acting career. He started to get new roles, so these stories really screwed with his reputation. He actually hired Marty Singer, who's a lawyer I've talked about way too much on this channel, and this lawyer hired a private investigator to track down these women and offer them payouts to recant their claims. According to IRS documents, the highest payout that was given was $15,000. So he paid for these women's silence because he didn't want to be associated with.
There are actually IRS documents that shows that the highest that Eddie paid was $15,000 through his attorney, allegedly, for one of these trans women to recant their story. $15,000.
I went and I said, "So what's the deal?" And she said, "Well, the deal is that Eddie Murphy's lawyer, Marty Singer, who's in the news these days for other things, basically I told my story to the tabloids and he paid me $15,000 to change my story." And I said, "Well, interesting. Okay, can you prove that?" This woman kept records and she handed me a check and her IRS, everything. She had everything. And it was signed by Marty Singer.
So obviously this isn't a good look if Eddie's going around and doing this press on how he's such a great guy, giving all these people money and rides home. So bizarre, especially when it's so easily provable.
What was his explanation for that check?
He just, he had no explanation whatsoever except to, say, yeah, to validate that, it was paid to her. This is how this guy operates, and it's unbelievable to that, to the lengths he will go and has gone to protect his clients, or he thinks he's protecting them.
Even though some of these women did change their stories to appease Eddie Murphy, others didn't. And Addison actually claims that she started receiving death threats because she refused to change her story about her encounter with Eddie Murphy.
Literally went to a bar that was, I can't remember the name of it, it was on Yucca, just south of Hollywood Boulevard, by that newsstand, World News, where Eddie had stopped that night.
Yes.
And I sat at the bar. One night goes by, I'm friends with the bartender now. I'm tipping him well, I'm talking to him, and he finally got me to one of the women. And she said, oh yeah, I've been with Eddie. He likes, he has a foot fetish, and also carnal candy has been with him, and so and so and so and so.
So Paul led you, he did a good job for you.
Right.
It seems like these women...
What's up with these nasty ass niggas liking feet? Dan Schneider from Nickelodeon loves feet. Now Eddie Murphy loves some goddamn corns on some goddamn feet. What's going on? That's why I don't like feet. I don't like feet so much I broke my goddamn own legs. Accidentally. Don't give a fuck about no damn feet. Nigga want some bunions on his dick.
Aren't holding back. Until they get their payouts, they are talking. When Addison was confronted by the private investigator and the lawyer, she had nothing to do with it. She wasn't going to be paid off to change her story. She actually had made no money off of this scandal either. It's not like the national...
She looked good right there.
Paid her. They paid for her bail, and that was about it. And she actually resented all the media coverage because they were calling her a drag queen and calling her a male, when in fact she's a trans woman, but back then everyone was extra uneducated. Even though she didn't directly make money from this scandal, she did get offered a few adult movie gigs. In addition, she got a new job at a nightclub where she reportedly got intimate with snakes. And it seems like everything was going all right until April 22nd.
She was stuffing snakes in the puss. Lord have mercy.
1998, a neighbor was walking her dog and stumbled across a body outside of her apartment. It was Addison, and she was pronounced dead at the scene. The autopsy found no drugs or alcohol in her system, and the coroner ruled her death as an accidental fall. So the story is that she accidentally fell from her building, and that's how she passed away. She was only dressed in bra, panties, and a towel, and the theory is that she suffered an accidental fall from the 5th story of her building while locking herself out of her apartment. I guess she locked herself out of her apartment on the balcony, maybe tried to climb the balcony and then fell? The story is that she tried to access the roof, and she attempted to use her rope as a swing from the roof to open a window, but was unsuccessful, falling 5 floors to her death. This is the building that Addison lived in.
Are you out of your mind? 5 stories up, so she thought she was Tarzan. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forget the f*** out of here. Are you out of your... So she thought she was Tar's woman and try to swing into her own goddamn balcony and accidentally fall 5 stories to her death. Are you kidding me?
People do not believe this story. I mean, it does seem very dramatic to climb out of your window to get back into your place. I mean, that sounds scary. So she fell 5 floors and suffered severe head trauma, resulting in her death, which was classified as accidental. Someone stated they did hear a scream at 5 in the morning, which is believed to be when she passed. But the unusual nature of her death led many to believe that Addison's death was organized by Eddie Murphy. Friends and family of Addison found the scenario the detectives had painted for them hard to believe. A drag friend named Viva told a reporter that unfortunately the cops don't want to investigate them. It's just another hooker to them. And it was all too strange. They say that she survived a lot. You know, an attempted R word, threatened with a knife. They don't just slip and fall by accident. Why haven't the cops looked into these things? It was...
So I'm gonna stop it there. I think Charlie Murphy did it. I'm just gonna be honest about it. There's a unseen Chappelle show story where Eddie Murphy's brother Charlie talked about a man that was in a wheelchair who didn't have the functions of his arms or legs. And the man in the wheelchair, you can look it up, the man in the wheelchair was talking mess about Eddie. And Charlie was so mad that he wanted to go stomp the man's mouth out because that would be the only thing working on the man. So Charlie was so mad just because a guy that was disabled from the neck down was talking mess about his brother. Eddie Murphy's brother, Charlie Murphy, played a video. Let me find it.
He had that power, to stand in front of a group of people and say, this is what I think is funny and I'm gonna make you laugh, and do it. But because he was so good at it and I was so proud of him, I was like if you didn't laugh, I was real emotional. I probably would fuck you up for not laughing. That's how.
You heard what he said? So if people didn't laugh at Eddie Murphy at the club, he said he was so emotional about it that he wanted to fuck people up at the club. So what's gonna happen if a transgender prostitute come out and say that Eddie Murphy did something with him or wanted to do something with him? Charlie just might kill him. Now, that's all I'm saying. Keep going.
That's how I felt. Because I felt that everybody should be laughing because I thought it was funny. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else is laughing. But there's always that one hater, that one person that's not going to go with the flow, that's going to try to throw an egg on the show and all that. And I would always react to that person. When I started working for my brother, as security, that was the reason that ultimately led to me not being able to perform that task for him anymore, because I was the hothead security guard. To be a security guard, you have to separate yourself from the person and do a job, a professional job. You can't be reacting to everything you hear or insults or slurs that somebody. And if you're a celebrity, and especially if my brother was a young male, what I'm saying, women was on him. I mean, I remember walking through the club, man. We used to go in the club and drain it. Used to drain the club, man. Just walk in and go like this, walk through a lap, walk out there. All the girls in the club would leave wherever he was going. You know what I'm saying? And so the guys are gonna be saying shit that, fuck that motherfucker, man. Shit. I got money too, nigga. Nigga pull out, this little knot, whatever. That happened a lot. And I used to always react to cats like that. As soon as they do that, I'll be like, what? Bah! Now I'm rolling on the ground with this motherfucker.
So that's what led to Charlie getting fired, him beating up people just for talking shit about Eddie Murphy. A nigga said, fuck that nigga, he ain't got shit, I'm richer than him, and Charlie took that personally and beat up people.
Fuck that motherfucker, man. Shit. Punk ass nigga. I had to react to that. And it was to the extreme with me where they knew this is what led them to saying, you know what, Charlie, maybe you should perform a different job in the operation here because you overreacting, man. You reacting to too much shit. And eventually you're gonna do something bad, man. You're gonna jump on a midget or a baby or something, man.
You heard that? Eventually you're gonna do something bad. You're gonna jump on a little person or a baby or something. So you're hearing what he's saying, what people are saying about Charlie. He don't give a fuck who the person is. You talk about my brother, he gonna hurt you. You see what's happening here? This is a skit. It's Isaac, he's telling true stories. This skit is called Charlie Murphy's True Hollywood Stories. Not Charlie Murphy's fake skit Hollywood stories. A brother should assault people for talking, Just Jay? That's what a brother should do? Assault people for talking.
Whoever say something, I almost gave this old man a heart attack on the plane. Because he asked us were we a basketball team. And, I took that personal. This was an old white man, and we was in first class, and my man he was real old. And he looked at us, who are you guys? You're a basketball team? And then my brain added this up. Well, he's about 30 years older than us, which means he's from the 60s, where they had the dogs and the hoses and all that. There was no niggas on first class. So I flipped. I said, no, motherfucker, we the Black Panthers. And I'm the president, bitch. Turn your motherfucking ass around and fly and mind your motherfucking business. And then he was like this. You know, the rest of the flight, he was horrified. You know, that's how I would react. I would always go to the extreme.
So you think that was right too, huh, Just Jay? The old man didn't know what the they did. So he said, what are y'all, a basketball team? And Charlie took that personally and cussed the old man out so bad that the old man almost had a heart attack. What you mean he's definitely telling jokes? The story is Charlie's true Hollywood story. You can make jokes around true events, Just Jay. Did he say, oh, I'm making these stories up? These are all true stories, Jay.
And the ultimate extreme was one night we was in Chicago, and we were in a restaurant, and there was a football player named Darryl Stingley. And Darryl Stingley, you know, he had got paralyzed from the neck down by another football player named Jack Tatum. He took a hell of a hit. He got paralyzed, you know, which is a very tragic thing, you know. So Darryl Stingley happened to come to this restaurant we were in, and in that time he was a celebrity, and he still had a whole bunch of girls with him, you know what I'm saying? But you know, my brother was in there with the tight leather on and all that. Darryl Stingley, you know what I'm saying? He couldn't move, man. You know what I'm saying? He's over here. So let me give you an idea of what was going on. We at our table chilling, right? Now the girls with Stingley, they was paying a little bit too much attention to my brother. So we didn't call it hating back then. When Stingley started hating, man, the motherfucker, he's like this. Fuck Eddie Murphy. Fuck that punk ass nigga, shit. I got money. Fuck y'all keep looking at this nigga for. Fuck him. Fuck Buckwheat. Niggas corny anyway. I don't like Beverly Hills Cop. It's going on and on and on and on. Loud, man, the whole restaurant could hear it. No one is saying anything to Darryl because, you know, as a culture, you know, as a society, it's kind of wrong to step to this guy. You know? But you know, like I told you, man, I make my own rules, man. Fuck that, man. If you're a talking head motherfucker and you acting like you forgot that that's what you are, I'm gonna hold a mirror up and let you see what's going on. I went over there, I told him, I said, look, man, you want me to flip your fucking chair over? Huh? And stomp your mouth? Because that's the only thing that's moving. You want to lose that? Huh? And he looked me in the eye and he seen that I was dead serious. I was going to flip that motherfucker's chair over and stomp his mouth, man. And he got horrified. I said, I'm going back over to my table. If I hear one more peep out of you, man, when I come back over here, I'm gonna fuck you up, man. Now shut the fuck up. And you know, then his eyelids was trembling because that's the only thing that can move. This motherfucker. And he's sitting there and shit, you know what I'm saying? So I go back to my seat and I sit down. My brother was like, yo, man, wait, that was messed up, man. I said, you hear him saying anything wrong about you anymore? See, that's how messed up it is. You hear any more Eddie Murphy's a bitch, fuck Beverly Hills Cop?
Y'all, did you hear out of Charlie's own mouth what he would do to a disabled man just for talking shit? He's not tolerating disrespect, I respect it. So when you talk shit, chat, Just Jay, it's okay for someone to threaten you. It's okay for someone to try to beat you up, right? Just for talking shit, right, Just Jay? Because you love talking shit. So you talk shit in chat. If I had a brother like Charlie Murphy would find you and do something to you. And you think that's okay? Just because the person was talking shit? This is my conspiracy theory now. And I'm going to leave it alone about the P. Diddy situation. My conspiracy theory now, Charlie has something to do with that transgender young lady's passing. I believe that Charlie took it personal that the transgender young lady was doing news stories and was going to make a book about her encounters with Eddie Murphy. And Charlie called in the hit to come push that woman off the goddamn building. You seen what he said he would do to a disabled man. that is paralyzed from the neck down. You heard what he said he would do. Stomp their mouth out, because that's the only thing that works on their body. He had to be fired for beating people up for talking shit about Eddie Murphy. You don't think he would kill someone for trying to ruin his brother's Hollywood image? God is funny. If Charlie Murphy did do something like that, Charlie Murphy's wife died because of cancer. Years later, Charlie caught the same cancer, then he died. That's all I'm saying. Kind of like karma in a way. If he did do what I theorize he may have did, allegedly. So we doing all these reports about P. Diddy, R. Kelly, Dan Schneider. Why is no one talking about Eddie Murphy? Why is no one talking about this shit? That's all I'm saying.